Welcome to our countdown of the 15 most ridiculous sitcoms from the 1960s. This era was known for its often bizarre television shows that brought laughter into living rooms across America. While many of them were quite popular, their overall concepts were pretty outlandish. You'll notice that our list doesn't include such popular shows like The Beverly Hillbillies, Green Acres, Get Smart, or The Monkees. That's because, as silly as these sitcoms were, we actually found 15 shows that we believe were far more ridiculous. Whether you grew up watching these TV shows or are discovering them for the first time, we're sure you'll enjoy our nostalgic look at the 15 most ridiculous sitcoms from the 1960s. Starting off our list at number 15 is the iconic Batman TV series, starring Adam West as Batman and Burt Ward as Robin. The series brought the comic book hero to life with vibrant colors and exaggerated characters. It quickly became a cultural phenomenon, appealing to both children and adults. Each week, the so-called dynamic duo faced new villains that were played by well-known Hollywood personalities. The campy tone, with Bam and Pow fight scenes, along with the over-the-top villain schemes, made it a far cry from the darker comic book version. But the show's campiness was both its charm and its downfall, as viewers eventually got tired of its repetitive formula. Even the addition of Batgirl couldn't save the series. Yet despite its relatively short run, and no matter how many actors have played the role of Batman in the movies, many fans of the TV show will always consider Adam West as the one and only Batman. Next on our list is Mr. Ed. It featured a talking horse, named Mr. Ed, who communicates only with his owner, Wilbur Post, played by Alan Young. Not even Wilbur's wife, Carol, played by Connie Hines, realized that Mr. Ed could talk. The interactions between Wilbur and Mr. Ed led to some pretty hilarious situations. The sheer novelty of a talking horse and the wholesome family-friendly humor made the show a loved staple of 1960s television. However, the absurdity of a horse that can speak, and only to one person, creates a consistently silly atmosphere that relies heavily on this improbable concept. And oddly, Mr. Ed's ability to talk was never explained in any of the episodes. Still, the show had a pretty successful run for 5 years. Number 13 on our list is The Addams Family. This show aired on ABC and brought an eerie twist to sitcoms with its mysteriously spooky family, headed by John Astin as Gomez and Carolyn Jones as his wife Morticia. Its dark humor, macabre characters, and unique setting differentiated it from other sitcoms, making it a cult favorite. The exaggerated gothic and morbid interests of the family members, paired with their bizarre lifestyle, contributed to the show's ridiculous nature. While it developed a loyal following, its niche appeal may have limited broader mainstream success, resulting in a relatively short run. Not to be outdone by ABC, CBS aired a very similar sitcom during the same period called The Munsters. And that show is number 12 on our list. It featured Fred Gwynne as Herman Munster and Yvonne DiCarlo as his wife Lily. The show depicted a household of friendly monsters, along with their niece who clearly wasn't a monster, trying to live a normal suburban life. And their monstrous appearances delivered a unique brand of humor. It was also rather weird that the niece never saw anything unusual about her gruesome relatives. And similar to The Addams Family, its niche appeal and repetitive formula likely contributed to its cancellation. Number 11 is My Favorite Martian. It starred Bill Bixby as a reporter who discovers a Martian, played by Ray Walston. The Martian moves in with him, posing as his Uncle Martin. The Martian's display of special powers and the chemistry between the lead actors made it a popular and entertaining series. And while their efforts to keep the Martian's identity secret were hilarious, it also added a layer of absurdity to the show. But its novelty eventually wore off, and changing viewer tastes likely contributed to its cancellation after 3 seasons. A year after My Favorite Martian debuted, ABC came out with Bewitched. In that series, Elizabeth Montgomery plays a witch named Samantha who tries to live a normal life. She's married to a mortal named Darren, originally played by Dick York. The show charmed audiences with its blend of domestic life and supernatural elements. Bewitched was so popular that even the great baseball star Willie Mays made a cameo appearance. In that classic episode, Samantha implied that Willie Mays, like her, also had supernatural powers, and that's why he was so good at hitting home runs. Here's a clip from that scene where Darren recognizes Mays at a party in their home. Despite this absurd premise, the series remained on the air for 8 seasons. As ridiculous as the concept was, these shows were quite popular. So popular that just a year after Bewitched aired, NBC couldn't resist creating a very similar show of their own. Can you guess what it was? It was called I Dream of Jeannie. In that series, Larry Hagman played an astronaut who finds a genie in a bottle, played by Barbara Eden. Each week, she creates humorous situations with her magical powers. While the show was a fan favorite, its reliance on magic to solve problems, often creating more chaos, resulted in a rather far-fetched narrative. Still, its popularity persisted for 5 years, although some critics felt the magic-themed plots grew repetitive. Number 8 on our list is Run, Buddy, Run. Jack Sheldon plays Buddy Overstreet, who overhears a gangster planning a murder. The mob realize that Buddy is a potential witness and pursues him across the country. The exaggerated chase scenes and constant near-miss situations of the mob made the show feel more like a cartoon than a realistic narrative. It actually resembled a parody of the serious TV drama called The Fugitive. Despite its unique concept, Run Buddy Run struggled to find a consistent audience and was canceled after 1 season. Next is a show called F Troop, which is set in the post-Civil War era and features the bumbling soldiers of Fort Courage, with Forrest Tucker as Sergeant O'Rourke, Larry Storch as Corporal Agarn, and Ken Barry as Captain Parmenter. The captain's love interest on the show was Wrangler Jane, played by Melody Patterson. F Troop parodied westerns with plenty of slapstick humor, but the portrayal of an entire fort of soldiers as comically incompetent added a layer of absurdity to the series. And while its humor was well received, the over-the-top antics may have limited its appeal over the long term. Incidentally, producers had no idea Patterson was only 15 when she auditioned for the role as the love interest of Captain Parmenter, Wrangler Jane. We can only imagine how shocked Ken Barry was when he found out. Due to the popularity of Batman on ABC, NBC entered the superhero genre with Captain Nice, which comes in as number 6 on our list. In Captain Nice, William Daniels is featured as Carter Nash, a mild-mannered chemist who transforms into a bumbling superhero when he drank his super serum. His superpowers included superhuman strength, invulnerability, and the ability to fly. The show's spoof of the superhero theme provided lighthearted entertainment, but the idea of an everyday person becoming a superhero, especially one as clumsy as Captain Nice, was quite absurd, and his silly pajama costume made him look rather foolish. To be honest, Captain Nice actually made the Batman series seem more like a serious TV show. No wonder it only lasted about 8 months. Not to be outdone by Batman and Captain Nice, CBS came up with their own superhero comedy series called Mr. Terrific, played by Stephen Strimpell. It features Stanley Beamish, a meek gas station attendant who takes a special pill and becomes Mr. Terrific. But his superpowers only last for short periods. The concept of temporary superpowers with a unique power source was a novel concept. The idea that those powers came from a special pill was rather far-fetched and adds to the show's ridiculous nature. Like Captain Nice, the show struggled to sustain audience interest and was canceled in 8 months. Another thing these two shows had in common was their silly names. I mean, really? Mr. Terrific? Captain Nice? That's the best you could come up with? Clearly, these producers didn't spend a lot of time brainstorming for these shows. Sounds more like someone asked their kids for suggestions. Another ridiculous show was The Flying Nun, and it makes number 4 on our list. Sally Fields starred as a nun who discovers she can fly thanks to her light weight and her starched nun's hat. Sally Fields' lovable character captivated viewers. But let's be real, the concept of a flying nun defied all logic, making it difficult for viewers to relate. But despite how ridiculous the show was, it maintained a loyal audience, allowing it to run for 3 seasons. Next up is a show called It's About Time. Frank Alletter and Jack Mullaney played astronauts who travel back in time and encounter a prehistoric society. They then had to adjust to living with a cave-dwelling family led by Gronk, played by Joe Ross, and his wife Shag, played by Imogene Coca. Of course, this led to many humorous cultural clashes. The premise of modern humans interacting with cavemen is what makes this so ridiculous, especially given the show's comedic take on time travel. There were also many historical inaccuracies. Its unique premise was intriguing, but ultimately not enough to sustain long-term viewer interest. Number 2 on our list is Gilligan's Island. In this series, Gilligan, played by Bob Denver, was stranded along with 6 diverse castaways on a deserted island. The uniquely different characters and the humorous survival scenarios made it an iconic series. But the implausible technology, like coconut-powered radios, also made the show more of a ridiculous fantasy. In addition, the repetitive nature of the castaways' failed escape attempts actually became predictable and quite annoying. Viewers always knew how each episode would end. Usually Gilligan did something dumb to ruin what should have been an easy escape. So while the show was a fan favorite, the constant failure to get rescued may have frustrated viewers, leading to its eventual cancellation. But like many of the shows on our list, Gilligan's Island still does quite well in syndication. While the 14 previously mentioned sitcoms were pretty ridiculous, most of them aired for multiple seasons, and some are still quite popular as reruns. But there is one show that really stands out as the most ridiculous concept ever. Have any guesses? At the top of our list is My Mother the Car. Jerry Van Dyke played Dave Crabtree, a man whose deceased mother is reincarnated as a 1928 Porter automobile. The car, or should we say his mother, whose name is Gladys, communicates with Dave through the car's radio, and he's the only one who hears her. Similar to Mr. Ed, even Dave's wife Barbara, played by Maggie Pierce, does not know that her husband talks to the car. Incidentally, Jerry Van Dyke would later reveal in an interview that he turned down the leading role for Gilligan's Island. He said he just didn't want to spend his life being known as Gilligan. But Bob Denver, who played Gilligan, is probably glad he wasn't chosen for My Mother the Car. After all, the concept of a talking car, especially one that's the reincarnation of a person's mother, is just outlandish and stretches believability. And the entertainment news website known as The Vulture said the show was, quote, the epitome of dated, stupid, campy, embarrassing, lowest common denominator television. Thus, it's no surprise that this ridiculous premise led to poor reception and the show was quickly canceled, becoming a notable flop in TV history. And that's what makes My Mother the Car number 1 on our list. And there you have it, the 15 most ridiculous sitcoms from the 1960s. Each of these shows had elements that contributed to their silliness, ranging from ridiculous premises and exaggerated characters to implausible scenarios. While some of these elements made the shows entertaining to audiences at the time, they also solidified their reputation as some of the most ridiculous sitcoms in television history. Yet despite their absurd premises, many of these shows provided endless entertainment and plenty of laughs. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your favorite ridiculous sitcom moments in the comments below. Thanks for watching.